I was looking for a guitarist to play tango with. I moved to Michigan from Kansas City, where I learned. I looked for a whole bunch of people. No, it's really hard to get people in grad school or studying music to want to learn this new thing that doesn't have to do with symphony music or jazz, really, even though there's lots of crossover. And Andrew was really the first person to take it on. Like I gave lots of people sheet music and recordings, and I want to do this. I'm this lone flute player wanting to play tango, and which is kind of difficult in and of itself. And Andrew learned all the stuff. He came back and he was like, "Wow, what is this style? What is this? It's crazy. How do I put all that stuff in the orchestra and my guitar?" And he was really inquisitive right up front.
I played South American classical guitar music for a while, and so I'd come across tango a little bit, but then, I don't know, I just started playing it. It's kind of different.
Soon after we were done with grad school, then we got a regular gig at a tapas restaurant. That was where we cut our teeth, I felt, having to play, DJ, and teach every week. It was also the free-for-all lesson, so we were trying to teach this community of people, and no one had done Argentine tango regularly in our town, which made it really hard too. So you get this just group of people each week, some new, some returning, maybe a birthday party, and you have to just be on your feet and try to teach people, try to keep some continuity, but entertain them. And so I think that was actually really great for us to be flexible as teachers and musicians to have to do that. We did that for 3 years. We've always done both tango music and always composed and done concerts and done a mix of these things together. And for a while we were kind of torn about it, oh, should we be tango musicians and dancers, or should we be classical musicians? And we finally realized that we didn't necessarily have to decide. Yeah, let's put them together. This composing thing we're doing. We also do a lot of on-site nature sort of retreats where we go to a place and we write about the music. Done national park residencies. We have this whole other thing we're doing too. And
teaching September through May.
Many adjunct positions.
I have 2 now. I used to have 3 adjunct positions. Now I have 2. And
I have 2
basically teaching full-time, but not getting the full-time status. But it has its pluses, so we can just go away in the summer, and you get the balance. After a while, sleeping in a different place every single night for 60 days gets crazy, but then the winter, we just stay at home. Don't drive the car.
Switch the way we play. Quality. So we'll do it smooth, sharp, smooth, sharp.
I started dancing only a few months before I started playing, and my first workshop I went to was Brigitte Winkler, and it was amazing. She's the best. And I learned in Kansas City, so Corey Eidolon was the teacher there at the time. And then I started playing with Tango Lorca, the band in Kansas City, and eventually subbing for them a little bit and learning all their charts. And it was a really great process for me, because as I learned the music, I realized, I learned it on flute. Like, wow, I already know this. I think I've heard this piece 20 times already from dancing every week. And it was just really cool, the back and forth with that learning as a musician and also as a dancer, how it all connected. And I basically pushed Andy on the dance floor and said, we're teaching together now.
I was a musician and I had to dance because Carmen told me to. I've been around dance. My mother is a professional dancer, teacher, but tap and ballet. Oh. And so I didn't really know anything about tango, but then I had to be the teacher, so then I learned about tango.
definitely learn by fire. Is that what you say?
Fire?
Trial by fire.
Trial by fire.
Yeah, just keep a couple lessons ahead.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. All right. Is this a milonga crowd? Do you guys milonga? A little bit? All right. We'll try out a couple of our milonga arrangements on you.
Guitars actually was kind of really hard to figure out what to do with in tango music because of, I mean, the main body of recordings that people dance to don't have guitar in them. And then a lot of like, you know, you hear about, oh, guitar was like the original instrument, but of course they weren't making recordings at the turn of the century, so you don't really know like how people were playing. You know, so I actually spent a lot of time just imagining what that would mean. I guess being a composer, that's what I spend my time doing, imagining. And then actually recently what I've gotten into a lot is the folk music of Argentina, chacarera and samba and these different styles that are very guitar, and there's lots of great recordings at Atahualpa Yupanqui and Eduardo Falú and all these great players, and then it's like so much easier in some ways because I can just connect, like I just can copy what they, even though like they're very good, but I don't know, so I guess yes and no. So yes, imaginatively. I mean, flute too, I mean.
Yeah, something for this tour that's been really fun is we've actually taken a lot of the recordings and extracted as much as we could for our instruments. So like our El Choclo is the D'Agostino version. The Chaos de Benignon is Lauren's. Our Garua is Lauren's as well. Felicia's straight up D'Arienzo arrangement. And it's really fun to sort of see how people respond to that, because the undertones of that is there. Even though it's not like, oh, sounds like D'Arienzo, like no one's ever gonna say that. Even if they know the arrangement really well, it just because of the instrumentation, it doesn't sound like it. But I think that they still get that, and I think that's really cool that, you know, we're like informed arrangements. It makes it really fun for us too. Actually, he does triple the work.
3.
I mean, and also separating the lines, getting the bass part.
I spent many years just experimenting because there wasn't really anybody that I could take a lesson with. Like, show me how to play tango guitar. Like now there's some people doing it and there's some pedagogy going on, but 10, 12 years ago there's like nothing, and so it was just like, okay, what do I do? And then we took a few lessons. We studied with Pablo Islan, a bass player who lives in New York City, is Argentine, and he gave me some ideas, and it's just, I don't know, being a composer or teaching music theory, talking about counterpoint, teaching counterpoint, multiple lines, weaving like this. So I'm like, okay, this is like the bass, and the top is like the chords, and then also working with, like, for musical, you know, like the voice leading, the different voices, like a Bach chorale, but I'm playing tango guitar, so like I have 3 fingers here, I like the chord, and this is the bass, and they have their own voice leading. I don't know if it's always perfect, but it's pretty good. So I don't know, it's just like fooling around with things like that over time and how to get the separation. It's different too when I play acoustic versus with the amplification. There's like a different sound to, you know, it's like the bass comes out a little more with the amplification, so that helps, I think, a little bit. But or I'll practice like different, I'll play the same thing, but I'll think differently. Like I'll focus on the bass part, but play everything. Or I'll focus on the top line or the middle line and only try to hear that voice. And that, I think, helps bring the sound out, you know, to a fuller sound, rather than just like chunk, 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 or dee 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 dee, you know, like rock and roll or something. So I guess guitar can do that, I don't know. Flute's harder.
I just try to stay out of the way. I try to play the variations well.
You play the fast stuff.
Because, I mean, I basically, you need that drive that the bandoneon has, and I try to do that. And it's been great that we've played a little bit with bandoneon. I love flute and bandoneon, the combination, because it's just, I can really fit inside that bright sound.
Well, they're both like wind instruments.
Yeah,
right?
they're both, it's awesome. So when the bandoneon's not there, I try to pretend like it still is. That helps. Recently we played with violin, and he is
a symphony musician, so we wrote out all his parts. And then gave him the recordings to copy, and then we adjusted around that aspect. When we had a quartet, 3 guitars and flute, that was all worked out. The other 2 guys, I teach them how to do it, and then...
Then you didn't have to play all.
Then I didn't have to play all of them.
Yeah, then all those lines are separated.
Well, the big joke was Carmen wrote some pieces, original pieces for that were originally quartets, and then after we didn't play with them, we made them duos, and they were like, oh, he's gonna play all our parts.
Well, it's a trade-off. I mean, you can do all the work yourself, and it takes a while, like a year, to really learn how to do it well. Lots of performances and practice. Or you have like 4 people, and I think in some ways it takes longer. Even though it's easier, it takes longer because you've got like those extra people that have to think the same way and be on the same page. And
well, there's also a matter.
I think it's harder.
It's a matter of style. Tango's not like a part of our culture in the United States, and we didn't grow up with that. And stylistically, it's opposite of rock and roll. Rock and roll is Tango's and guitar wants to go la 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 la, and Tango's got to sound jump jump jump. And so to get these other people to figure that out, like you can write the notes out, but like especially on guitar, it's hard to like sound like that, and to invest in that, or like what we talked about when we learned, like when I learned, Carmen gave me these recordings, and I just, like, being a composer, I just put them on and listened like all the time, like when I was cooking or doing all this stuff, and it like kind of seeps in. Like, but to get someone to like be like, oh, you know, go and listen to this for like 80 hours, and then try to play it on your guitar. They like.
And we'll pay you $5.
And then, yeah, in the end, and then ride with us in the car for 4 weeks, and it's gonna be stinky and smelly and crazy. And then, like, maybe we'll give you like $50 when it's over. Like, it's not gonna be like that's actually how the quartet fell apart, because the one guy was like, dude, I gotta make money, I can't do this. He's like, music's fun, but I can't do it. My wife got mad at me.
Well, and speaking of finances, it's taken a long time to figure out how to make a tour lucrative.
Yeah.
I mean, trying different venues and different, you know, do we have more people and do higher paying ones, or do we have less people and do more? And I feel like it's taken us 10 years to figure out how to really organize that. So, and I think what we're doing as a duo is like the most manageable thing right now for the market, and that's the other issue too. Yeah, so you got to keep playing all those parts.
Yeah. Just can't break my nail. I get crazy ideas about composing, but I'm like really practical when it comes to composing as far as what instruments I write for, because I want it to be played. Like going through school, like when you study composing, you're like supposed to just like think of like, oh, this crazy combination, like French horn, viola, trumpet, and piano, yeah. And then you spend like 800 hours writing for this piece, and then no one will play it. And then I was kind of like didn't want to do that anymore. So like I think like what can I do? Like we have like classical pieces, or like I take a lot of like tango things and then twist them, but like for listening. So like for example, the milonga or milonga compada, the da da dee 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 dee, so 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 that is 8. So I write pieces in 7, and they go da 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 da. And it doesn't sound that different. You try to start dancing, it's weird, but listening, like I would play it for Carmen. I say, here are 2 different ways I play on the piano, and so you almost can't tell unless you really pay attention. So like I'm doing things like this with rhythm, but it's like for more of a listening standpoint.
Well, I was working on something in the car a couple days ago. We actually have a setup so I can compose in the car with the iPad and the computer, and I'm doing a milonga de mis amores, but backwards. So actually it's inverted. So like all the intervals are inverted and the form's going to be inverted. And I'm just doing it as an experiment to kind of see what would come out of it. I like things like that. We're nerds. So. I'm good about having a deadline. Like I like deadlines because I finish things, but this is a different energy that I actually have many things going on at once. So I'm working on a chacarera, and I wrote a new piece for my sister who just had a baby, and then I started this milonga de mis amores thing, and Andy wrote a whole piece in the Cascades while we were there. So stuff's really flowing. It's good.
We played with the bassoon recently. That was pretty fun. I still think it would be good with Tango. We played concert music with the bassoonists, but bassoon could be pretty cool with the bass lines, I think.
This tour's been awesome. Probably the best. It's the longest tour we've ever done. It's double any tour we've done in one stretch.
The tour's 60 days, 30 performances, all away from home. Half the time in the tent. Half the time.
Yeah, we actually, he's the numbers guy, so he counts everything. But I think we counted the tent nights today.
29. It'll be 29 out of 60.
29 nights in same tent.
Tent. Yeah, our tent. Yeah, it's green.
And then we stay with wonderful people.
No.
And we have
No
no
hotels.
hotels. Really, the best part is just getting to play so much. So as a we're musicians, we want to play, and it's actually hard to get good quality playing experiences every other day. It was my idea, and it really comes from La Folia, the European melody and chord changes. It's considered the earliest known melody or
European
form, music form. And it, this medieval era music and dance form, Folia. And I thought it fit our group really well because we're sort of drawing on all these different elements and recycling them, dance form, European music form, and yeah. And it's kind of a made up word, folias. So kind of sounds like foliage.
Means leaves.
Yeah.
Leaves. Or crazy.
Folio.
Mm-hmm.
Folio. Yeah, it has a lot of offshoots. Crazy, yeah. And Andy wrote variations on the Folia this year as well that we premiered.
Oh, neat.
So we finally got around
Got that
to
going.
doing our namesake piece after 10 years. Probably record that one. It's pretty good.